What did you do, game? Why did you do that? There we go. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I was doing some stuff with my stream deck, and I forgot to change something, but we are here. Gold League, SATAL 2020. We are back at it. German Tactical Air Group taking on Eclipse Task Force Premium Edition. Eclipse Task Force Premium Edition is taking over for JG78, who bowed out mid-season. They have come in to fill their shoes, have assumed all of their records, all of their everything, and they are taking over for them. So this is going to be German Tactical Air Group taking on Eclipse Task Force. Let's get it on. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Looks like these guys are starting their departure. Left is German Tactical Air Group. On the right is Eclipse Task Force, who are still waiting to take off. Left side is going to be German Tactical Air Group, represented by Gozer, who is leading the way on departure. Arai, who is departing second, followed by Sundowner and Papa Zaber. I think that I pronounced that correctly. But they are all F-16 Vipers, so it's going to be really interesting to see if the short legs of the F-16 Vipers are going to be any play here in today's matchup. If we look at the right side for Eclipse Task Force, they are led off by two Vipers, Barracuda and Zodiac for Eclipse Task Force, followed by July and Arthas, who are going to be taking off after they get out of here. So again, German Tactical Air Group against Eclipse Task Force. Slow Blow, how you doing today? I know you and I are trying to get, real-time telemetry to work, but it should be up. I don't know why it would not be up. But how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you? I'm looking forward to today's fight, actually. GTAG versus ETF should be a good one.
See if I can get real-time telemetry fixed as these guys ingress. Not really sure what's going on there. You can just follow along with the attack view. I mean, I'm not going to be hitting any pauses. We're at 42:45, so shouldn't be too bad. if you just put your TAC view in the right spot. And I actually just saw from Sundowner, he had a pilot riding along with him for I don't know what reason, but there was a, like, ejected pilot that was with him, and he just fell off. Don't know what the deal was there, but that pilot he's going to die. He's fallen from about 8,000 feet. He's going to have a bad time when he splatters all over the ground because ground undefeated. Silver Phoenix is checking out the TAC view port. It may be, I don't know what's going on with it. I'll have to check it after this stream. But if it's not working, I'll make sure it works for the next stream. But what would a SATAL stream be if something wasn't broken? Any expectations coming into this one, Low Blow? These teams seem to be pretty evenly matched, I think, though we don't know much about Eclipse Task Force Premium Edition.
Yeah, I don't know. The stats on Splash 1 Gaming have ETF Premium Edition sitting at the bottom of the division at the moment, and I don't know if that's simply because they joined late. But at the moment, the table is saying that GTAG have a 2.0 KD versus a 0.41 KD for ETF Premium.
Right.
GTAG approaching 50 kills in this match up to this point, and ETF at around 10. So, yeah, if we're to go off what Splash 1 Gaming's telling me, then big discrepancies, but we'll see what happens.
Well, the big discrepancies may be a result of Eclipse Task Force taking over for JG78. So JG78 bowed out about a month ago. Eclipse Task Force stepped in, took over, but they also inherited all of their points and standings. So that could very well be the reason for the downtrod in their stats. So another thing that I did get working today is going to be the TAC view. Well, a different part of the TAC view. So we're going to have TAC view picture-in-a-picture, because I was looking at Papa Zaber's streams as he was doing stuff with the 2v2 events that he's been running, and they've been really good. And it seems like his picture-in-a-picture has been working really well. So we're going to be taking a look at that. And I got that going, so let's turn that on. There it goes. We do have that rocking for us. I'm going to try and stay on top of this, but it's going to be a little bit difficult, going back and forth, making sure I've got TAC view in the right spot. In the future, we're going to have probably Low Blow or Billy be driving the TAC view so I can focus on the cameras, but, the TAC view from what we've seen for the real-time telemetry and stuff is not playing very well at the moment. But you guys should have TAC view rocking and rolling with these guys as they ingress in picture-in-a-picture, and let me know what you guys think of this. If you guys like it, if you dislike it, we're going to see how this gets us, if you will.
Are you at about 4:45:35 right now?
I'm at 45:50. I can tell you, move to like 46:10, and I'll just tell you when to go.
Got you.
So we'll get Low Blow in here on the right page. 5 seconds. Ready, go.
Cool.
And you should be ready to rock and roll. So we got Low Blow ready to rock. He's in here. So let's flip back over to the map. Get rid of the picture-in-a-picture because we don't need to be seeing that. But match today is going to be Krimsk against Guadada. Distance is about 160 miles. So what we've seen previously, Low Blow, I don't really anticipate any fuel issues for either one of these teams. I mean, obviously F-16 takes less fuel, but if you fly it right, it's pretty fuel efficient. You have any anticipations for what's going to go on?
Well, GTAG with the 4 Vipers, they're all on the same page. They're all capable of the same thing. So whether that plays out as, they can work better as elements, that's what I'm thinking we're going to be seeing today, is that GTAG are just going to employ better element tactics. And, look, their KD is really strong, and they've got a lot of kills in their division. So, they're a strong team, and right. I'm thinking that they're going to be swinging pretty hard today. Whether ETF can pull something out of the bag and surprise them is yet to be seen. But I think ETF, from what I've seen in the past, they are pretty good. They're pretty solid squadrons. So, yeah, today should be good fun.
Well, what are you anticipating from the newcomers? Do you think there's going to be any jitters or nerves coming into this that we've seen out of some teams? Because I think this is one of their first matches in SATAL for Eclipse Task Force Premium Edition, and they're going against one of the seemingly better rated squadrons in German Tactical Air Group. Do you think they've got an uphill battle to climb, or you think they've got a fair shot?
They could be nervous, but the thing is, if they fight like they train and they forget about who they're actually fighting, and they just forget about all the pomp, all the ego, all the preceding history that's behind JTAG, and they just focus on what's in front of them. Like we've got a saying in BFM: fight the jet, not the man. Fight the machine, not the man. And if they just focus on fighting what's being presented to them, then none of the other stuff really matters. They can just get down to business. So. I'm hoping that's the approach they take, and they just operate as elements here and throw down pretty hard. But really interesting is the choice of aircraft by the ETF team: 1 Hornet, 1 JF-17, and 2 Vipers. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously, I think the Vipers are going to have a show here, mainly because there's more of them. But the JF-17, we got to look at it kind of like a Tomcat, kind of like you would look at a Tomcat, in that SD-10 has some serious range advantages over all of the other missiles that the other jets are carrying, mainly the F-16, because that's all GTAG is flying at this point. So the SD-10, if Arthas is able to launch at high altitude, it's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Something that we do need to remember, though, however, is that the SD-10, there's only 4 of them on Arthas's jet. So he's got 2 of the SD-10s, and then what are they, 2 of the P5? I think they're P5s for the heaters. So he's limited on weapons. The Vipers, on the flip side, for GTAG have 6 120Cs. So he's down 2 of the active missiles. But like I said previously, the SD-10 is a force to be reckoned with, especially at high altitude. I think it actually beats the 120C in energy retention all over the map, high and low altitude right now in DCS.
Yeah. Now have a look at what we've got. We've got the first launch there of a Slammer at 32 miles. I think that came out of Goza. And those guys are up in the troposphere, man, bozosphere. We're looking at plus 40,000 feet, 43,000 feet for Ari. So those early Slammers there, against targets that are down at 38, that's a 5,000 foot delta. I mean, whether that's significant is yet to be seen.
Right. Now, lots more munitions coming out from German Tactical Air Group. If we grab this 120, it looks like they're on the B weapon restriction. So is that going to play a role? Maybe. The missiles are actually looking pretty good as they ingress here against their intended targets. We've got a 120B, looked like it was launched from Gozer, coming in on its intended target of... looks like one's on Barracuda and one is on Zodiac. So the missile that we are watching, I think, is on Barracuda. I think they're going to be able to get away from these without too much of an issue. Long launches, I guess they were trying to see if they could make anything happen, seeing if they could catch anybody napping, but it doesn't look like any of those shots paid off. And it looked like it was 1 missile per aircraft. So I'm wondering if that's going to come back to bite them here later in the match.
Now, meanwhile, feet wet, we've got some trades out there as well. And Papa Saba separating himself laterally 14 miles from sundown. And Saba now has an SD-10 on him coming in at Mark 2. That, let's see how far that is. 3 miles, still doing Mark 1.75 on Saba. Saba defending hard split S here.
I don't think that's going to be a problem. Yeah, he's going to be okay. He defended that late, but he defended it aggressively enough in split S, and as you split S against these missiles, they bleed tons and tons of energy. So if we look behind, I don't even know that we're going to be able to see it. Can you see it back there? I don't. So Zeba's fine, or Zaber's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Someone needs to correct me.
Zaber. Like it's
Zeba.
Okay. Yeah, I think Zaber or something along those lines. He sent me a pronunciation, I think, of him talking, and I'm pretty sure that would be how you say it. At least that's
Zeba. Okay,
we're
on that. All right, that's a 14-mile slammer from Ari on Zodiac there at the moment, and slammer in return from Blue. So
I don't think either of those guys are going to be really in any way, shape, or form in danger. Zodiac may be a little bit more danger than Airy as he comes in here. Where is that missile? I do not see it yet. There it is. 1.5 miles away. Zodiac is at 550 knots, so he's going to be more than fine out energying that missile as he egresses. Another SD-10 coming off the rails for Arthas onto Papa Zaber, and I don't... How far was that launch? That was from 12 miles. That SD-10 is already down to 700 knots. Not going to be a problem there for anybody in those incursions. But low blow, I got to point it out again. Lots of missiles being launched from both of these teams early.
Yeah, and there we go. It's Sauber. That's how we say that. Okay. Sauber. Okay. Now, just for chat, you know, something to recognize here is this is approximately 30 miles lateral separation between the two G-tag elements. So between the feet wet and the feet dry element, we have about 30 miles. So there will be no mutual support between elements in this fight. This is literally two separate two ships fighting against two separate two ships. So that's interesting. And I haven't seen that in the SATAL matches that I've seen up to this point. Is this something you see fairly regularly?
Not really. You don't usually see these two fights separate like this. So interesting that that's what we're seeing go down right now. Looked like I caught a different missile from Zodiac. I don't know where that was going or where it came from, but I caught that missile from Zodiac, and that was, I don't know what the camera was doing. But back to your question, Low Blow, usually we don't see this separation. I'm a little nervous about Barracuda, though, in his predicament. Does Gozer see him? So if we get Gozer, Barracuda's down there to the right. See if we can lock onto him. There he is, down to the right.
Break. We've got a more serious situation here. Papa Sauber over feet wet there at the moment.
He's going to be fine.
He's fine, yeah.
He's okay. I think the interesting incursion there was Barracuda and Gozer coming head-to-head against one another, and there was such an altitude separation that nothing really came from that incursion. And there are AWACS. I don't know why there wasn't any type of change of nose authority to be able to sword on each other. I would have assumed that Gozer or Barracuda saw one another, so that was interesting that they didn't. Next incursion, or next likely incursion, is going to be Gozer against Zodiac, and then over here on the left, I'm going to try and give you guys a split screen view, is going to be Arthas coming against Sauber. I think I pronounced that correctly. So we've got two incursions.
That's a 7-mile SD-10 on Sauber at the moment.
Yeah, I think Sauber is in a bit of trouble. I don't think he gets away from that SD-10. It's got plenty of juice to reach out and touch him, and indeed it does. And he is going to be the first casualty here from the German Tactical Air Group side. And from an unknown perspective, Eclipse Task Force is making their presence felt.
Yeah. Now have a look at what's happening over there to the east, Moltar. You know, Gozer and Ari right now are separated by 17 miles. Ari is in a lot of trouble here, man. He is facing off against the two ETF jets with no mutual support from his the other half of his element. And both Barracuda and Zodiac see him and are engaging him right now. I don't know whether he's going to be all right.
Well, Zodiac gets taken down, and Arai, where did he get shot at? He got shot at, so they both got taken down there. That was a trade in that little incursion that took place up here to the north, and the newcomers Eclipse Task Force that entered midway through this league are finding themselves in the driver's seat here. 3 pilots remaining to 2 for German Tactical Air Group. So now we've got Arthas in the driver's seat coming in against Sundowner. Let's ride along with him and see if he's going to be able to get any type of headway against Sundowner. So we got him. I'm going to try and give you guys... Well, you guys already have the... Well, I'm going to come down here so you guys can see this a bit more. So let's grab both of these guys' perspectives. So here's Sundowner being chased by Arthas. I think that is Arthas, about 6 miles back. Indeed it is. So let's give you guys the split screen view. So Sundowner, over Sundowner's tail, we can see Arthas. Arthas is chasing down Sundowner. In this particular situation, I would assume that Sundown has the advantage because his jet, the F-16 Viper, is able to utilize higher energy because it's got more energy out of that engine.
Well, you know, Sundown Malta is in a bit of trouble here because he can't really recommit. With Arthas, 5.5 miles behind him and then backed up in trail by 15 miles behind Sundown, we've got that Hornet chasing him down as well. The big issue for him, even if he manages to merge with Arthas and blow through, is the Hornet behind, who's got all the SA in the world right now. I mean, if he recommits, he's in a lot of trouble either way, I think.
Right. Let me try and get a view of the overall battle space. So Barracuda has just kind of given up on Gozer. So we're going to stay with Sundowner, and then I'm going to take, who was that? Arthas's camera and move to Gozer, because Gozer is coming in here seemingly unopposed, and Barracuda's just kind of given up the chase over there. But now we may have July breaking off on this. No, July's just heading north. So Gozer may be turning this into a 2v1 with Arthas sandwiched between Gozer and Sundowner. So Gozer doesn't see Arthas yet, but I like the mutual support by Gozer, but now I can see it on TAC view. July has recommitted it against Gozer, and Gozer's going to have to give up on trying to support his wingman as Sundown and commit into this incursion against July.
Right, and there's a slammer now at 5.5 miles from July towards Gozer. Gozer launched his own slammer backwards, but what great SA by July to see Gozer coming in from the north and to resort on him and stop pursuing Sundown.
Right.
I mean, because the thing is with Sundown, right, if he keeps extending, he's just going to go outside the bubble and lose anyway, right?
Right.
So,
sorry guys, I lost the taxi there.
I have to say the situation for Sundown is now a lot better because he doesn't have two jets chasing him down anymore. And if anything, with Gozer now chasing down Arthas, this is actually a 2v1 against Arthas, if anything.
Right. Yep. Let me get this
hard
fixed.
Recommit from Sundown now. Let's see what the range is there. Hard recommit from Sundown at 7.5 miles. Arthas is probably going to launch on Sundown here and then try and go defensive. And if he turns its cold left, he is going to be turning directly into the face of Gozer. So there's the SD-10 at 3.5 miles from Arthas towards Sundown. A 120 from Sundown, or blue on blue. Sundown gets eliminated. I'm not sure where that 120 was going. It looked like it was on Gozer, but it did not track at all when it came off the rail. Arthas now in the left turn towards Gozer and resorting on him.
Gozer's got this 120 coming in on him, and I don't think Gozer's going to... Oh, Gozer got away from that. Let me make sure my cameras are right. Yeah, they are. So now it's a head-on incursion between Gozer and Arthas. Loblo, I'm going to let you take this since you're the merge man, and I don't think either of these guys have any weapons left.
Well, there we go, the merge, and Gozer looked like he wanted to go one circle with Arthas, but they've ended up going two circle. Arthas forcing the two circle, and this is, going to turn into a 2v1 fairly soon because 9 miles out from the north, we've got July coming in. Presumably, what has that Hornet got left on it? Just, has it got any 120s
He's
left?
got a 120 that he just launched in 2 AIM-9s, so that 120 coming into a merge could be problematic, and I think, no, it's not going after Arthas's JF-17. It is going on Gozer, and it's going to come in from the rear aspect of his aircraft, and I don't know that Gozer's going to be able to get away from this. I think it's going to slant. No, he did. He line-of-sighted it. AIM-9 now coming off the rails from, we're going to switch views, from July. So July is launching. We can see the missile trail 1 mile away from there. So we're going to put this camera on the tail end of Gozer, and I'm going to try and flip over on the other camera and put it on the opposite direction for the front end of Gozer so we can get both directions here. But Gozer, he's sandwiched in a cluster of Eclipse Task Force aircraft, and Eclipse Task Force has really come out and made their presence felt, and missiles are just barely missing Gozer from all over the place.
No, he actually ate a 120 there. By the looks of things from Barracuda 2. Yeah, on attack view, the white transparent box came out. And now he's merged with Barracuda 2 at 4,300 feet. Barracuda firmly settling into the wedge here now, trying to get into 3,000 feet for guns, looks like. I'm not sure whether Barracuda has any heaters left. But right now, he's flying his best guns BFM against Gozer. And Gozer now turning nose on with July from the south. Let's see what the range there is. He's now sorting on July. I don't know what Gozer's got left on his jets. Presumably guns only now. And there's a 9M from
coming
July
into
front,
the
and
face.
That's
gonna be it.
And he gets, he eats it in the face.
But what a way to end that match. I mean, we got to admit that Eclipse Task Force coming in relatively unknown really put the hammer down on German Tactical Air Group, and maybe it just caught German Tactical Air Group by surprise. I mean, what are your thoughts on that match? I mean, what a way to end it there. But Eclipse Task Force doing really well with 3 pilots remaining.
Absolutely, and they all collapsed in on Goza, so they were able to communicate what was going on. They hemmed him in, and he was screwed 5 ways to Sunday. There was no way he was getting out of that situation. No
Yeah.
matter which way he pointed, he was going to enter a merge with either one of three possible opponents. And they shut him down really nicely there. Well, I think what he needed to do in that one versus two ACM situation was get rid of one jet as quickly as possible, and then he would have had a brief moment for 1v1, and then he could have possibly won that 1v1 and then recommitted on the jet coming in from the north. But he needed to nibble it off and shut those guys down quickly, one at a time, to avoid ending up with three jets in the same airspace with him. But yeah, wow, what a fight. That was great. And good flying, Goza. That is not an easy situation to be confronted with, so you did really well there.
Now, what did you guys think of the TAC view? Did you like having the TAC view up? It seemed like it may have given you guys a bit more insight into where people were while I didn't have the map up. Chat, what are your thoughts on having the TAC view there in the bottom right corner? I know it kind of got in the way. Maybe I can add some transparency to it. But I want to know your thoughts on having that TAC view up there. It is a little bit difficult to manage, but, sometimes we got to make do with what we got. These guys are now RTB. They do have to RTB. I think they have to RTB all the way to the north to Krimsk, I think is where they have to fly back to. And the coast is on the left, so they are going back to Krimsk and not to Gwadada. Do you think fuel is going to be any type of an issue here, Loblo? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. But you know what? I think GTAG right now are having a pretty serious debrief, and an experienced team like those guys, they're going to be breaking that down, working out where they went wrong, and trying to put in a good plan of action for the next round. I think these guys are going to be, they're not going to be wasting any time in getting their heads back together and recomposing themselves for the second round at this point. That's what I would have thought. How about you?
I don't think so. I'm going to try and fix this TAC view, so feel free to provide any other thoughts you have here. I'm going to try and get this TAC view in a better position on the split screen. I think that's probably best.
The only other thing I would say is from ETF in that first round, the newcomers to the division, very, very well done. We spoke at the start of the session there, Maltar, about whether they were going to be coming in a little bit nervous or have any problems with that, and it definitely did not look like they had any problems with that. They just focused on the task at hand and threw down hard, which is great to see. So I hope that they continue that across the next one round.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm going to be interested to see if German Tactical Air Group has anything to say going into these next rounds on flying a bit better and maybe really showing Eclipse Task Force what it's like to fly in SATAL, because I have a feeling that German Tactical Air Group just kind of got surprised there, where you think, you're flying against somebody like JG78, nothing against them, but they were the bottomers of this Gold League division. So maybe they thought it was going to be something like that, but Eclipse Task Force definitely came out and showed and said, hey, we're a force to be reckoned with. We're here to play some ball. You better get on your game and make sure you bring your best stuff in order to compete with us. And Eclipse Task Force right now is leading 1-0. I'm going to put up some fast forwards here so we're not putting up so much time, and then we're going to go through the TAC view, which I think there's quite a bit. Loblo can talk about the merge there at the end, because there was a lot going on there, but I think, who was it there at the end? Sundown was just in a really bad place because it was 1v3. He did a really good job of staying alive, but I don't know how much
it was
done in that situation.
It was Gozer, I think.
Gozer,
wasn't it? Gozer?
Yeah, I think so.
Anyway, Malta, what you could do with the TAC view, this is just a suggestion, but you could reduce the opacity on that, so throw a chroma key on it. Did you? Okay.
I put it up in the middle, so when we're in these perspectives of F5 and stuff, it's not blocking anybody. I reduced the opacity a little bit. I didn't want to make it too much, but we'll have to see what. Well, I can add a little bit more. That's a good idea. I've got it down to 70. We'll drop it to a few more percent. So that's what it looks like.
Because I'm thinking if you reduce the opacity a little bit, maybe you could get away with making it a bit bigger, and then guys would see it a bit more clearly. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we can try and make it a little bit bigger. Put it in the middle. Let me increase the opacity again, or decrease the opacity again, so you guys can see. So there we go. That's it. Let me move it so you guys can actually see people. So that should give you a decent perspective of what's going on.
Yeah, that looks good.
We'll leave it there and turn that off. And it looks like these guys are landing, so I am going to slow it down again. And Eclipse Task Force's Barracuda is going to be the first one to put it down back here at Crimp, solidifying this round for them. And I got to give them credit once again. Eclipse Task Force coming in and making their mark early in SATAL, leading this round against German Tactical Air Group 1-0 in a best of 3. So we're going to take a minute. I'm going to get the next round set up, and we are going to check out what actually, well, as soon as I minimize this and stop OBS from taking a massive dump. But we're going to check out and get the next round set up, and we will be back with round 2. Go ahead, Low Blow.
Well, something I just wanted to say there that was a really unique moment was where Gozer was able to separate from his engagement in the north and come all the way down to the south, basically unimpeded. You know, that was really interesting to see him just break away from his fight and make a cross-country Navex down to the fight in the south.
Right.
You know, now July sorted on him pretty early there, so good play by July to address the threat coming in, the new threat. But the fact that he was able to do that was pretty funny. I found that amusing anyway.
All right, so guys, sorry about the freak out of OBS there for a minute, but it doesn't like it when I put it on another monitor that's running a different GPU, and it just kind of freaks out. So it should be okay. I moved it back to the other monitor. I don't know why it does that, but Silver Phoenix says I need to get a 5000 series processor. I do, but you know, I've spent a lot of money on this new house, a lot of money on other hobbies that I have, getting things ready, and my wife might shoot me if I spend any more money. So I think we've got everything figured out for this one and getting everything running as it should here. But we're going to get ready for round 2, moving into this best of 3. Eclipse Task Force is currently up 1-0.
From dust. Don't tell me it did it fucking again.
What's the pointer? Yeah, that one.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in the TACView debrief, and I need to turn off the filters because it doesn't... Why is it applying a filter that I can't see in this? What are you doing? Game? Huh? Why are you applying a filter that I can't see? Anyway, we'll just roll with it. So, Low Blow is going to be driving the TACView. He's going to be kind of weighing in on stuff. I'm going to chime in every once in a while, but sometimes it's good to get other people's opinions on what's going on. So, Low Blow, lead the way.
Yeah, sure. So I've rolled forward to first missile shots here. And, you know, I think a defining feature of this engagement was the fact that we had both sides working in elements, and those elements not in positions to mutually support the other elements. So you can see 25 miles lateral separation here between the G-Tag team and these guys also pushing out to sort of around 20 miles with one side feet wet, one fight feet wet and one side feet dry, so to speak. So we get these first shots coming in here. Nothing dangerous at this point. Both sides feet dry, turning cold, and we get a bit of a trade here. Now let's roll forward to the first kill, which is Papa Sauber, and let's see what actually happened here. So 12 miles, Papa Sauber. That SD10 is not the issue. It's this next one which gets him, I think, which is this shot here, I think, from 7 miles, and he just gets himself into this this nasty position, feet wet, where he's got nowhere to go. He's down at 3,000 feet here, and the SD10, we've spoken about it a few times, how fast that missile accelerates, and he just gets caught with his pants down, not really able to do much about that situation there.
Well, I think he tries to commit to the out-energying the missile instead of committing to the notch, which I think is what actually costs him his life, because it looks like he tries to out-energy it and then turns into it. So I don't know what his game plan was, but it didn't seem like he stuck or committed one way or the other to a certain type of defense on the incoming threat.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead and have a look at the next kill, which is Zodiac up here in the north. So the situations we have it here is, and this is what I was commenting before during the fight, is that we had this this breakdown of mutual separation from Gozer and Ari. Whether it was intentional on their part to actually bracket these two in, but Ari ends up out here all the way in the west, facing off against two jets, and that's when you heard me comment that right about here, I thought he was in a lot of trouble. Because he's basically committing into a 2v1. The distance here at the moment, we're looking at 5.5 miles. We're getting to merge ranges, and we've still got 120s in play, and a 5-mile slammer is nothing to laugh at. Now, thankfully for him, he manages to eliminate Zodiac, but then cops a mutual from Zodiac. So those two guys just end up killing themselves, and we end up with this really funny situation now in the north, this 1v1, where Gozer, and you'll have to excuse me for not immediately addressing the feet wet situation, but this funny situation where Gozer just disrespects the 1v1 and decides to go and help out his buddy in the south, Sundown there. So let's see that unfold. He goes, okay, I'm going to fire on you, and then I'm going to totally decommit from this fight and make my cross-country Navex back down to help Sundown out. And this is the point where Sundown is cold, extending out, and he's got two jets chasing him now. Excellent decision by Sundown not to recommit early here. You might see some guys in this situation go, okay, I want to turn in and take the fight. But I think, and chime in, Malta, if you agree, but this situation with a bandit on his 6 at 6 miles, followed by another bandit at 10 miles with all the SA in the world, is not really a situation that you would want to recommit into. So good job by Sundown, probably communicating with Gozer, hey, I'm being chased down by two jets here, I need you to come help me, and Gozer making that play to come back down and help him. Now, July makes probably, yeah, go ahead, Malta.
Well, talking about this situation, if you want to pause it right here, what I would like to see happen in this particular spot is for Gozer to not wait to launch on July. You need to put an early launch on July to force him, even though you know it's probably not going to do anything. It's probably not going to kill him. All you're doing is trying to force him to have to deal with something. You and Sundown, have the energy advantage. And Gozer's primary job needs to be to get to Sundown to turn that into a 1v1 where Arthas is in the driver's seat to a 2v1 where Arthas is in deep trouble. But to do that, he's got to force July off, and the first thing he needs to do is put a long missile on him. Next, Sundown needs to utilize his energy advantage because he's got 0.2 Mach over Arthas and start an easy left-hand turn to bring Arthas right in front of Gozer. So turn this from a just getting rundown situation into a dragon bag situation. That's that you need to try and create something out of this terrible situation that Sundown has found himself in, and you're able to do that specifically because of the separation between July and Arthas and the energy advantage that you have and you see on Gozer and Sundown. But I don't think
Very
that's
good.
exactly how this plays out. I think Gozer ends up waiting a bit too long to launch on July, and Sundown doesn't commit back to try and drag him into Gozer.
No, I think Barracuda just had a bit of a loss of SA and didn't realize that Gozer was no longer fighting him up here in the north,
Right.
and that's why Gozer was able to just make this this exit and get this much separation from the 1v1 that he initially had. But totally agree that Sundown should have made this left turn and dragged Arthas back into Gozer at this point. You know, the problem there is Gozer needs to make a decision about what he does once he sees that. Does he stay focused down on Arthas, or does he deal with the bigger threat towards him at the moment, which is July? And I would have felt that Gozer needed to pick up on the fact that you know, July is a bit of a threat for him. Let's watch this play out here, which he does.
I think that just comes down to Gozer waiting too long to launch on July, because if you look at it now Sundown is full cold trying to run from Arthas, and Gozer's just not able to do anything about it. And Sundown, I think, realizes too late, hey, I need to do something in order to give Gozer a chance of taking down Arthas, but is way too aggressive in that situation. He just gives Arthas a free kill.
Yeah, so here we go. There's the 5-mile shot from Arthas on Sundown. Sundown gets eliminated, and this is where we see Gozer end up in what's initially a 1v1. If he could have quickly eliminated Arthas in this situation here, you know, he would have had a real chance at equalizing this fight, because he then could have dealt with July in a brief moment, with that also being a 1v1. But the fact that he gets tangled up with Arthas and doesn't actually manage to bag him here ends up in a very dire situation, because then he's faced with a 1v2 ACM, and then he's faced with very soon after that a 1 versus 3 situation. And he
well, we don't know if
ends up-
Gozer has any weapons left.
I don't think he did he? I think he was out, because I mean, he could have, if he had a Fox 2, he could have Fox 2'd on Arthas here from 2.5 miles. But this slammer, I think, just takes him out, doesn't it? He just gets not
This
that
goes
one.
on for
Okay.
quite some time.
Yeah, that's right.
So when I was watching this in the track, it looked like he actually didn't get hit. So TAC view can measure when missiles get close. I think sometimes it can get fooled into thinking somebody dies. But we were all riding along with Gozer, and when you said he got hit, I saw the missile go right by his aircraft. So I don't think it actually hit him, unless there was some server desync. But there are plenty of times when you're in a bank turn, and from what I understand, there is a bug, the missile will detonate using proxy fuse and won't actually cause any damage because it detonates too far away from the aircraft.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. I saw this white box, and I commented on it during more midstream. And you're right. When we looked at his jet, he actually had no damage there and was perfectly functional. Now, you know, what do you do in this situation? Okay, he's face down with what we see in Pilot X, which is, you know, 2 bandits trying to make their way into your wedge, and you know, these guys are carrying missiles at this point as well. You know, Barracuda coming in with a actually doesn't have a Fox 2. It doesn't look like. Barracuda was dry, or did he have a slammer on him? I can't remember.
I don't remember, but I think in this situation, there's not much Gozer could do. He's just trying to survive. He's, I guess, just trying to not go down without a fight, and he does a decent job, but ends up eating that AIM-9 in the face. So he does okay, but there's not much you can do in a 1v3 ACM situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, trying to gun down July in the face there, well, with one last triumphant moment. But, you know, he winding back, you know, I had to give real kudos to Gozer for the big brain play of decommitting from Barracuda in the north and coming down south to help out his mate who was getting chased down. And that made for a really interesting situation here, you know. And he dealt with... No, he didn't deal with July. You know, that's the thing. I think if he'd pressed this right here and dealt with July, maybe he would have then had the 1v1 with Arthas down in the south and possibly been able to neutralize that. But the fact that he allowed July to live up here in the north came back to haunt him a little bit.
Yep. I think that
anyway, that's all I got for that one.
It all goes back down to weapons management. So what can you do? But guys, I'm going to send you back to that short Super Cup one more time. When we get back, we will be in the sim, Crimp Squadata, Eclipse Task Force, German Tactical Air Group, ETF up 1-0. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in the sim down at Guadada with Eclipse Task Force, who is currently up 1-0. I don't think we have any changes to their side. We'll check on German Tactical Air Group here momentarily. Let me get the TAC view here in the right spot so you guys can see where the hell are we. Why are we out here in the middle of the Atlantic? Or Pacific, excuse me. Kill TAC view, bring it back up. Sometimes TAC view doesn't like to play real nice. Come on, game.
So meanwhile, while Malta sorts that out, I think GTAG, would have recomposed themselves after that first round there, and are going to throw down. Now, it's a matter of whether ETF can adapt to what they're actually seeing on their sensors and fight the fight that's presented to them. I hope that they don't come into this fight with too many preconceptions about how it's going to unfold, and I hope that they don't get complacent. That would be those would be my first thoughts there. How about you, Malta?
Well, I don't know that it's going to be about them coming down and being complacent as much as maybe German Tactical Air Group waking up. But you do bring up a valid point. Does this go to Eclipse Task Force's head that they've come out and taken one from German Tactical Air Group? And do they get complacent and let something that they have within their grasp slip away? I don't know. We're just going to have to see, wait and find out. But Zodiac and Barracuda leading the way for Eclipse Task Force, with July in the F-18 and Arthas in the JF-17 trailing behind them. Now, something I don't see. There they are. Okay. So Papa Sober is leading the way for the German Tactical Air Group side, and there is a bit of a change on their team with Night Raid coming in and replacing... Who did he replace? Sundown, I think, is who he replaced. So there is a bit of a change on the German Tactical Air Group side, and Papa Sober is the one all by himself leading the way for German Tactical Air Group. I'm curious to see what this separation's about, because we've seen separation in the past, low blow, not play out too well for a lot of these teams. And we're gonna have to continue to keep a move on, because my son actually has school pictures in about an hour and 30 minutes. We just have to make sure that we're done. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Yeah. Can you just count me in? Are you at 4:17:50 around about there?
No. So now we're at 4:17:20, and you should be good to go.
Got you.
And Arthas is now taking off in the JF-17 for Eclipse Task Force. What do you think's going to happen here, Low Blow? I personally think German Tactical Air Group's going to wake up, because I don't think anybody, a veteran for this year in the SATAL Gold League, likes getting punched in the face. So I think that punch in the face is going to wake them up and bring the showdown. It's akin to what you see in a lot of boxing matches in the movies. It's like it takes one punch and then the guy's awake and unleashes the beatdown.
I agree, and I think also it's gonna come down to how they decide to employ those Vipers. Are they going to try and get high and fast and get some curry sauce on those 120s? Or are they gonna mutually support each other as two elements that are actually within range to support one another? Or are we going to see this separated fight that we had in the last one? And look, I had to say, looking at the map right now, yeah, we're probably going to end up separated, because Papa Sauber's element is already 20 miles down range, and Goza's element hasn't even taken off yet. So I'm not really sure what's going on there. But on both sides of the fence, we are seeing already quite a bit of separation between these two elements. On the ETF side of things, Barracuda's element now 14 miles down range, and July's element just taking off. But GTAG even more separated than that up in the north, now passing through 23 miles. So yeah, I think we're going to have a separated fight again, but how that separation ends up playing out, whether it's as a grinder or whether it's with lateral separation and two separate two-ship fights, is yet to be seen.
I mean, they're separated. German Tactical Air Group is separated by 25 miles.
Right.
I'm really worried about that. I don't know what the incursion or the thought process is here. Maybe Papa Sober's going up to try and bait in an SD-10 as an easy kill? I mean, what are your thoughts? Why would he be leading the way with this 25-mile separation between himself and the rest of his team?
Well, I'm not so concerned about it yet, because if Sauber's element turns cold early enough and they can then, close it down to like a 10 or 15 mile grinder, then there's absolutely no issues with that. But I am interested to know what the thinking is behind it.
Right.
Like you say, are they concerned about the long ranges and they just want one element with more fuel in the tanks? Because obviously in the last one we got down to a bit of ACM, right? And they're in Vipers, so yeah, fuel is a consideration here. And is it as simple as, well, we want two jets with 1,500 pounds or 2,000 pounds more fuel when it comes down to it? I don't know yet. I don't
know that fuel's the issue, part of the main part of the equation, as much as weapons. I'm more concerned about weapons. I mean, last round we saw that play out where who was it? Gozer came in at the very end and didn't have any weapons to be able to employ in that 1v3, where if he may have had some 120s or AIM-9s, it could have gone very, very differently. Real quick shout-outs to Ribbon Blue and Jester501st for the Tier 1 sub, Gordo for all of the community and gifted subs that he's dropped. Everybody that's gotten a gifted sub from Gordo, give him a shout-out. Gordo, thank you for the continued support. Much appreciated, guys. And Ribbon Blue, thank you for the 1,000 bits. It's much appreciated. And I guess now this goes towards, because I think our bigger issue now isn't necessarily the GPU, it's more of the processor, I think. I don't know. I'm going to have to do some research on that. So maybe we're due for a 5000 series processor upgrade, because the PC with all of this stuff going on, she doesn't like it a lot. There's a lot going on. We got attack view, multiple DCS camera angles, the stream going on. It's one of those things like, how much more can you do to me? What else can we do here? But back to the stream.
Maybe I was going to say a dedicated streaming computer.
I did that. It just gets really complicating. It's I don't know. I had one, and maybe eventually. But if you give it enough cores, it's not really a huge issue. I think my bigger issue is just having things on multiple GPUs and stuff. I just need to try and build everything together. Build an AC unit. I don't have any problems with heat. There's no problems there. But back to the match. Papa Sober is just continuing this separation. He's separated still by 25 miles. And if we jump, we are riding along with him on the left. If we move to the map view on the right, we can see where everybody else is. And our separation between the two teams is now down to 65 miles. So missiles should be coming off here shortly. Do you think we're going to see a lot of the opening salvo type missile shots that we saw in round one here, Loblo?
No, I don't think. Well, what I'm expecting from GTAG, and this is pure speculation, but with that amount of distance, I don't really see. Honestly, they're going to have to drag back towards the other. Well, actually, it's Sauber by himself. It's Sauber by himself, and he's got a 3-ship behind him. So it has to be an early drag back to. Well, that said, you know what? They're all starting to split. If you have a look at GTAG right now, there, if you zoom in, we've got Night Raid and Ari forming an element and heading out feet dry, and Goza heading out feet wet. So let's just see what the distance is between Sauber and Goza right now. 23 miles. What I'm expecting is for Sauber to drag Zodiac and Barracuda feet wet, and then Sauber to drag back towards Goza. But who knows what could happen. This could go anyway.
That would be a good play. I mean, to get somebody out feet wet, you do gain the situational awareness advantage. Obviously, it goes both ways. You get it, they get it, because you're over the same terrain. It's not a one-way street. But German Tactical Air Group does have the PPLI advantage. I mean, they do have an extra contributor to that PPLI link, the Link 16, whereas Eclipse Task Force has 3 contributors. Those 2 Vipers and the F-18. The JF-17, from what I know, does not contribute. So
well, have a look at this, Malta. Zodiac now up through Mark 1.43. looking squarely at Sauber, and Sauber identifies that he does not have the energy to contest that fight down at 0.95. We got the first slammer coming off the rail of Zodiac's jet there at, let's see what the range was there, 30 miles, about 32 miles, and then Zodiac decommitting. Well, he's actually cranked to support that missile for a while, but I'm not so sure that 1.43 is fast enough to kill anyone at 32 miles.
Well, it depends on how high your enemy stays and if they crank and dive or not. I mean, if they stay high and just try and put the missile off aspect, it can definitely pose problems, more so than what you see on short shot. Sorry, wrong button. But Zodiac is right here. He break off, and Sauber did a really good job of defending that missile, now getting the missile warning. And he cranked and dove, got down in altitude. He's now down to 15,000 feet. And the 120B, as it got down that low, it's still 10 miles away. Just doesn't have the energy to be a continued threat. But it looks like Sauber now is reconnecting with Gozer, who's coming in from feet wet. But interestingly enough, up here in the north, Night Raid and Arai are just not being very aggressive. And there's kind of up here no man's land.
Yeah, they've just set up a grinder up there in the north. Let's see what the distance is. They're setting up basically a 10-mile grinder up there in the north, and just the energy states are really different though. If you have a look at that, Night Raid up past Mark 1.1 for his long range launch on Zodiac there, and Ari just dropping the speed back and getting set up in lag. So that was a 30-mile shot from Night Raid on Zodiac there. As you say, Sauber reconnecting with his element partner, goes there out feet wet. And, meanwhile, we've got down all the way in the south, the other element on ETF side, they're 50 miles out of this fight right now. Arthas and July hanging way back to the south. If I was in G-Tag's shoes right now, I'd be hoping they pick up on the fact that Barracuda and Zodiac are really kind of isolated.
Yeah, and we're riding along with Barracuda now, and you can see that he's isolated with Zodiac, but I don't think they're going to be aggressive enough to really get themselves into too much trouble in this situation. I think they're going to be okay. Zodiac does have a couple missiles coming in on his left side. One is chasing Barracuda. It's Barracuda who's got this missile coming in on his right side. Can we see it? No, I think they're actually both chasing Zodiac. Barracuda just flew directly over one, and I don't know that we can see it down there. No, I don't see it. So I don't think these guys overcommitted, got themselves into too much of a unsurmountable climb, but I do like that Barracuda didn't launch anything there. I like that they recognize, hey, I don't have a shot, and went out without wasting any munitions. So that is nice to see.
Well, ETF, regrouping now, so there's definitely some mutual support possibilities going on. But G-Tag, it looks like they're just in no rush to push this fight. They're happy for this to play out when ETF want to press it, and my hope for them is that when ETF do decide to press, that Ari is actually in a position to get on board quickly, because let's see, at the moment, he's fine. I mean, he's only 10 miles in that grinder with Night Raid. Now, we got some shots being exchanged here. Feet wet. Zodiac firing at 16 miles.
Yep.
Sorry for the dogs there. I'm just going to mute myself.
And we got his missile coming off, and I can't see who's that on. I think it's on Papa Sauber, and is that going to be a problem for him? I don't think so. He's at 24,000 feet, Mach 1.2, and if he breaks away, that missile is going to lose all of its energy. But I think the more pressing issue here is actually going to be Zodiac, who's now getting chased by a 120. So if you flip over to him, that 120, well, I thought it was more of a pressing issue, but it's still 4 miles away, and he's not going to have any problem outrunning that threat as it tries to get closer to him, but it's not going to have the energy to stay with him.
Yeah. Now let's have a look at ETF. Just it looks like they've got a bit of a wall going on, but in fact, it isn't a wall at all. What it is wasted missiles. I feel like that 26-mile shot from Arthas is never really going to achieve anything. I don't know why he's decided, when he's only got 4 of those things, why he's deciding to to waste them like that. That missile is not really going to do anything at all. Being shot, from Mark .9 at 20,000 feet and 25 miles.
Right. And here comes Zodiac with a 120 shot onto Gozer. That wasn't a bad shot. That was something in the neighborhood of 10 miles from high altitude, decently high speed. So we can see the missile taken off over there. It's chasing Gozer. So if we flip over and look at Gozer, here's Gozer, and he is just in a full run from that missile as it comes in on his position. It is still 4 miles away, so no problems for him. Papa Sober and his boys from the German Tactical Air Group are doing a really good job of defending early. And Low Blow, the first thoughts of this match as it continues to unfold is it's a much more patient outlook for both teams than the aggression we saw out of round one.
Well, actually, you know what? I'd go one step further, Moltar, and I'd say the G-Tag are controlling this fight a little bit better than ETF. To me, I can see the experience in showing through on the TAC view, and they are ready. They are ready to respond when ETF gets impatient, wants to press them. That's how I see it at the moment. I'm not seeing it as equal amount of patience on both sides. I'm seeing ETF beginning to show signs of frustration, making some shots that maybe don't need to be made. But have a look at this now. Gozer sorting on Barracuda at 7 miles with a slammer. I don't know if it's going to track him though. Feet wet here. Are you seeing this?
Looks like it's tracking him, but Barracuda just doesn't see him, and that was launched heavy aspect, and Barracuda is actually turning into that missile, and I think that actual turn into the missile bled a lot of the missile's energy. He's diving away 400 knots, but that missile continues to close. Barracuda's in a bit of a pickle, and it comes in and barely doesn't have enough energy to be able to reach out and boop him, and Barracuda barely gets away from that incoming threat. And I think, meanwhile, we may have missed something else. Did we miss somebody else? Yeah, Zodiac actually went down during that incursion somewhere else on the map. So Zodiac got taken down. I don't know from where, but Zodiac is down. ETF is now down 1 pilot. So 3-4. And German Tactical Air Group, in contrast to what we saw in round one, is now in the driver's seat. But we're going to stay here with Barracuda because now Barracuda is getting pressed by Papa Sober, and Papa Sober is 5 miles off of Barracuda's flank. And I think Barracuda's in a bit of he's in big trouble as he gets run down here. And here comes a 120 from inside 4 miles. I'm going to try and give you guys a better view here from this shot. And Barracuda, he's going to get taken down as that 120, I don't think, is going to have any problem with energy as it closes in on nothing like the last one. And Papa Sober, I think, also recognizes that he needs to get the hell out of Dodge and egresses away. And now it's Gozer coming in and launching a couple missiles in onto Arthas in July. And let's ride along with it. So here comes the missile, high altitude, coming down onto an incoming Arthas. And Arthas, I don't even know that he's going to get a missile warning from this incoming threat. And this is going to poke him, and he gets taken down. So 3 quick kills from German Tactical Air Group, and Eclipse Task Force's July finds himself as the lone survivor. Gozer was it for round one, and now it's July, but July is actually in a worse position because it's 4v1 in this particular type Low Blow. And what does he do in this situation? Do you see him getting out of this? Because I don't.
No, there's no way out of this. I mean, he needs, and he's trying to deal with Salbear straight up. Salbear's not having any of it. He's out cold. He knows what's up. And, July is now running for his life. Recommitting right now is a terrible idea. But where does he go? He has no one to support him, and he's either just going to get pushed out of the bubble and lose by default, or a recommit, which is what we're seeing now in the left turn towards Night Raid, with Ari backing him up into what is going to be at best a mutual, but at worst just getting smashed in the face by a slammer.
Well, I think it's actually going to end in July getting smashed in the face by a slammer, as we can see it closing and barely actually misses him. So July able to get away from that missile as it barely undercuts him and doesn't make contact. So July's still alive for the time being. He's able to egress after making that we thought was going to be a poor decision on the recommit. But are we going to see him recommit here shortly? So July is not staying low. Sorry, I went back to the F10 map here in the wrong view, but he's staying low in this situation. I would like to see Papa Saber Arai and Gozer continue to climb instead of staying at 13 to 11,000 feet. I mean, you're already chasing him. Might as well climb. You're in F-16. You've got the energy advantage. Get all the advantages you can coming in to this incursion as it continues to progress. But now we see July try to recommit here, and we see a missile coming out from Arai, and I really like that shot. The nose wasn't even around for July, and here it comes 3 miles away, and this is, I think, going to be July's last Arai. Tries to put one on Arai, but we saw it hit through the mountain, and July, no, I thought it was going to miss him, but that was a little bit of G-Sync, and July gets taken down.
Yeah,
what a
absolutely
round, and what a
served.
better showing by German Tactical Air Group.
Well, ETF said go and GTAG said no, basically. You know, I think that's what happened there. You know, ETF decided, well, they got a little bit impatient, and GTAG just were in the right position to shut them down. I mean, we saw 3 jets go within the space of about 60 seconds, which was absolute slaughter.
Yeah.
You know, phenomenal comeback by GTAG in the second round there. And we've spoken about this in previous SATAL matches, that this second match tends to be the important one, right? Psychologically.
It does. It does. So if you lose the first one and then win the second one, in my opinion, you're in a better position than if you won the first one and lost the second one, because you've got the momentum going into the all-important round 3. So I think, even though Eclipse Task Force came out and punched German Tactical Air Group in the face there in round 1, I think German Tactical Air Group is actually in the driver's seat here after winning this mid-stage match or round here after round 2, going into this winner-takes-all round 3.
Yeah. You know, I think it really shone through in that round, the experience of GTAG to just be patient, not rush it. You know, sending Papa Salbear out there by himself at the start, you know, is a confusing tactic. You see one guy by himself and you think, well, how, you know, what's up with that? Do we all just pour in on him and shut him down? You know, like, maybe that was what they were trying to do there. Bait those 4 jets into pressing Salbear in, and then envelop the ETF team in the middle, because they're all trying to commit on one lone bandit. You know, and if you get, we have seen that in past rounds, remember, where if you see one team all get clumped up in the middle, you can easily bracket around them and overwhelm them from all sides. And maybe the tactic was as simple as that.
Maybe. We'll have to see in the TAC feed, but I think it went back to what we saw earlier this week and what we've seen continually from teams, is that Eclipse Task Force did the, we're just going to trickle in one at a time, we're not going to mutually support one another, and that ended up contributing heavily to their downfall, where I think a lot of these kills came from people getting isolated, finding themselves in a bad position against their ingressor, and getting taken out because they didn't have the mutual support after they found themselves in bad positions and they weren't able to get away. And on the flip side of that coin, I think it also comes down to German Tactical Air Group recognizing when they have those advantages, both in positioning and in numbers, and they were able to capitalize on those. If you don't capitalize on the advantages, well, you're not going to be able to come to make them count when it matters.
Yeah, and I think, you know, GTAG are experienced enough going into this third round that I'd expect that they're not going to throw the same tactic down in the third round as what we just saw in the second round. So they're going to, you know, this is what I'm expecting, keep ETF guessing, right? And if ETF don't have a response for what they're presented with, we spoke about this at the start of the second round, you know, fight what's on the sensors, then they're not gonna have a game plan. They're not gonna have a good response for what GTAG are presenting them with. And I think what we're seeing from the GTAG team is a bit of ingenuity. You know, I was scratching my head there. I'll be honest. I was scratching my head there for a little while to try and work out what the tactic was by sending Salbear out by himself 25 miles ahead of the rest of the team. But you know, in hindsight, I think it was a good tactic.
Well, do you think it actually did anything though? Because a lot of those kills didn't take place for several minutes. I mean, what do you think that tactic was meant to cause to happen?
Well, I think this is my thinking at this point. It was intended to try and clump ETF in to committing on Salbear and trying to shut him down. And once they were clumped, what I would have expected to have seen would be GTAG bracket as a one ship on one side, you know, meeting up with Salbear, and the other 2 ship bracketing in from feet dry. And so then we would have seen that, you know, Discovery Channel, fish in the middle in a ball with the predators coming in from either side type thing. That's what I think that tactic was designed to do. You're right, it didn't actually play out that way. ETF didn't take the bait, but I think the sting in that one was the potential for it to work.
Right.
They tried something, it didn't work, but no harm, no foul. The point is that they had a plan going in, and that's where I think GTAG coming into the third round are probably going to try something slightly different. Now that they didn't see that work, they might try something different just to keep ETF guessing.
Quite possibly, quite possibly. But Gozers put it down for German Tactical Air Group, followed shortly by Papa Sober. So we are going to move on to the TACView debrief here for round 2, and we are going to be moving to the round 3, really winner takes all. So I'm going to send you guys back to that really quick supercut while I get the TACView set up, and we get Low Blow in the driver's seat. We will be back with the TACView debrief here shortly.
From dust.
All right. What are you doing? There we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back for the TACView debrief. Sometimes Multar doesn't know what buttons to push, but we are back. Low Blow's in the driver's seat. So Low Blow, take us through this, what your thoughts are. I want to first focus on what Papa Sober was doing. We talked about this briefly while they were RTB, but let's see what actually happened and kind of guess. Papa, I think you're in chat. What was the game plan behind this, if you hear this?
Right, so here we have the situation. We have Sauber out in front of the rest of his team by about 23 miles, facing off against two ships. And I think this is what I was trying to say before. I think what this plan was designed to do is drag this 2-ship and this 2-ship to actually come in so that they're clumped up around Bulls here. And at that point, Sauber turns feet wet to rejoin with Gozer somewhere out here, and Night Raid and Ari split off out here, and now what we end up with is a situation where ETF are clumped up as 4 jets around Bulls, and they're fighting two ships from 2 different directions. And that's that Discovery Channel fish in the middle, predators coming in from around at the sides, the bracket. That's what I think maybe this was designed to do. But the thing that ends up happening, well, we see Gozer already heading feet wet. And we see, Sauber turning cold to rejoin with him. But, the interesting thing was that the GTAG 2 ship out here, feet dry, don't actually press. They're just happy to sit back there and keep ETF, guessing as to when to press. So, yeah, in a sense, you're right. Sauber's plan didn't really materialize in the way that I think it was designed to, but no harm, no foul. They tried something, it didn't work, whatever, let's go to the next thing. So let's see what happens now. We've got Barracuda and Zodiac on Bulls, and we've got Arthas and July all the way down here in the south. And Sauber and Gozer begin to engage here. And there was this brief moment, I commented on this in the fight, where perhaps if Night Raid and Ari had been a little bit more assertive, we could have actually seen these 2 jets get shut down quite easily, because they could have been overwhelmed from 2 different directions by two ships. and not really well supported by Arthas and July down here. Maybe Arthas and July could have kept Gozer and Sourbear at bay, but what they wouldn't have been able to do is shut down Ari and Night Raid committing in from this direction up here in the north. What do you think about that one?
Say that last part again. I was getting something ready for the
Well,
stream.
No, that's all right. Well, what I was saying was that, there was a brief moment if Ari and Night Raid had been a little bit more dominant or assertive here from the north to shut down Barracuda and Zodiac early as a wall. 4 jets coming in as two ships from 2 different directions, could have overwhelmed this 2-ship here over Bulls.
Quite possibly, but on the flip side of that, it could have also caused Zodiac and Barracuda to not be as aggressive as we see them currently being if they would have recognized that Night Raid and Ari were closer than they are currently. As far as mutual support, you have to be really careful about mutual support and distances between your elements here in Gold League because you've only got 4 ships. So if one of your 2 ships gets overrun relatively quickly or unknowingly and you're too far away, well, they're just in deep, deep trouble and you're not close enough to provide that support that they need. So it's a give and take. Further away, you contribute more to the overall picture because your radar can see more. Closer, you're more able to capitalize on situations as they progress and to be able to support your other elements. So there's give and takes in these situations. I don't know if this is what we're going to see as it progressing into some sort of a grinder situation, but what I had thought had happened in this round was the northern 2-ship for German Tactical Air Group just kind of stayed to the north and didn't really contribute much until the late game, until Papa Sober got that initial kill.
Right. Yeah, and well aware of what a grinder is there, Mago, and all I'm saying is that maybe they didn't need to set that grinder up because what we ended up with was a situation where Barracuda and Zodiac were, 15 miles ahead of Arthas and July. But, at the end of the day, with the 120s, with the state that they're in this fight, if you're 20 miles behind the 2-ship over Bulls, you're really not in a position to immediately support them. And if Night Raid and Ari had identified that, they could have, put the, they're in Vipers, don't forget. They could put the energy on pretty quick and put some 120s down range from like 25 miles with speed and put real pressure on the 2 jets that were over Bulls there. Now, the thing is, let's have a look at Zodiac. I think Zodiac simply DC'd from the server. Here he is here at 29-28, and he just disappears. There's no missiles in the air.
Yeah.
No, he's right there, and he just DCs. So that ends up leaving Barracuda in a bit of a pickle. He's now feet wet, facing off against Sourbear and Gozer. Let me just pull up the kill sheet, and then I think he just he evades that 120 from Gozer.
Well, that one was flying formation with him. It was really close, and then the next one is the one that he's not able to get away from. And look at the positioning the Papa Sober finds himself in. I mean, he's in the quarter, the rear aspect quarter. He's in a great firing position for his missile. He's above his contact. And if he continues to turn left, which his nose is already in, he's in a great defensive position against Arthas and July. So I think that's a great position for Papa Sober to find himself in. I can't really critique anything there. Maybe Arthas and July could have put a long missile on him to try and force him to defend.
Well, the thing I have to critique, from G-Tag's point of view, is this grinder, this 2-ship up in the north, not really applying any pressure to what's quickly developing as a potentially ugly situation. Yeah, okay, Barracuda's in a lot of trouble here, agreed. But don't forget, it still is a 3v2 down in the south, and we've got these 2 jets up in the north not doing very much right now.
Right.
So,
well,
I mean,
can you look at how far Barracuda and Sober are from one another? I think they're like 4 miles or something.
Oh, it's super close. Yeah.
Even at 4 miles, which may be super close, if you're decently fast, if the defender is decently fast against 120Bs, you can very easily out-energy a missile if you're fast enough on the get-go. Now, it would be important for Barracuda to already be cold. I don't know why he's flying cross-aspect. Maybe he's going up to engage the northern 2-ship, but he just doesn't recognize that there's people behind him. Yeah, indeed he is. There goes the 120 against the northern 2-ship. But this, like you just pointed out, this situation the Papa finds himself in and takes out his contact could have very easily resulted in him getting taken out in a 3v2 situation because their other element, that 2-ship of Arai and Night Raid, were so far to the north.
Yeah, I don't like it. I have to be honest. That they did really well to dominate the fight through effective flying individually, I would say. But this up here, these two jets up in the north are not really in the fight right now. I don't like that. These guys needed to be more aggressive in this fight, I think. And then this could have been a really comprehensive shutdown of ETF much earlier. But anyway, Sauber defends against this missile here. Artis eats one in the face. And this is where, we're talking about, good individual flying. Goza, managed this situation well as an individual pilot. But as a team, I think G-Tag could have done better here, I have to be honest.
Yeah. I think the big thing that was holding them back was the distance between their flight elements. If Orion Night Raid were a bit closer, I think this could have been over a lot faster, and they would have had a more dominant position going through round 2. But as this finishes up, July he can't do anything. I mean, he's the lone man in a beatdown that is about to commence. He does a decent job of defeating these incoming threats, but there's not much he's going to be able to do when he's outnumbered 4-1.
Yeah, I mean, Goza and Papa Sauber did the heavy lifting in that round for sure. So what I'd like to see from G-Tag in the third round is Night Raid and Ari, getting their fangs out and pulling some weight here.
Well, on the flip side of that too, I'd like to see from Eclipse Task Force, I'd like to see them recognize when they're in an advantageous state, like they were there in that 3v2. Press there. Don't go into this defensive position where you're launching missiles against the Northern 2-ship. Use your advantage. Press 3v2.
Right.
Launch some early missiles that forces them to do something and defend, and you carry on hot if they don't defend on you or put one on you that you have to defend. So Eclipse Task Force, they were on the brink of being able to control that match. They just didn't capitalize, in my point of view, on the situation where they had a numbers advantage.
100%. Right here, Barracuda needed to forget about Night Raid and Ari. I think he just saw them on the sensors, but he's really forgetting about what's really knocking at his front door.
Right.
And if he had just turned cold, feet dry, and dragged back towards Arthas and July, who pretty low. I mean, Arthur's down at 9,000 feet here, and July on the deck. That's another debrief point right there. These guys, could have gotten high and fast potentially, and really shut down Goza and Sauber with shoot down, look down, shoot down. But a missed opportunity for ETF down here in the south for sure. And I hope that they see that here and can go away and put it together for next time,
Right.
But this was a potential win for ETF down here in the south, no doubt. Well, what ended up happening was they ended up getting outflown by two very good pilots in their individual capacities, I think.
Right. And closing, Borchi brings up a good point. The biggest issue for people to maintain pressure, and this is what he wrote, pressure is that they have a tendency for pilots to shoot and then turn around. The way to be able to mitigate that and still fly defensively is to walk or fly that line. You want to get as close to that line where if you don't defend, you will die, right? And just hope that your enemy oversteps it. You want to get as close as possible to that line and have as high energy state as possible to be able to launch and then immediately defend. That you're still able to utilize that type of flying, but you're utilizing it, in my opinion, in a more efficient fashion because you're giving your missile or your weapon a more of a chance to take out its intended target. If you're launching and doing that type of thing from 20 and 30 miles, no, you're not going to be doing anything. Under 10,000 feet, you got to be doing that stuff from under like 6 miles to be able to make it effective. And that's just playing with fire. That's what it comes down to. But it's the guys that are able to play with fire and not get burned consistently that are going to be the leaders on the kill board, not taking those deaths. But we're going to wrap it up there. We're going to move on to round 3, jumping between Krimsk and Guadada. Eclipse Task Force and German Tactical Air Group tied at 1 apiece. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are here at Guadada with German Tactical Air Group. Looks like they didn't switch sides. Borchi says, even if you do such a thing, the question is, does the bandit know how to defend even the close missile without dying? Well, the key there is launching on bandits that are not really able to defend in those situations. So higher context, but on the ground, they can notch them. You got to find the contexts that really aren't going to be able to get to the ground in time, and the only way out of those fights is to out-energy the missile, right? You can't get low enough and slow enough to be able to notch effectively if the missile's shot from close enough, and you're not thinking ahead of your airplane and trying to defend or getting into that notch state if they're getting close. So, Borchi, absolute point, great point. The key there is to make sure you're launching and finding those situations where the bandit can't defend in a way that you don't think is appropriate or more advantageous to them. So I'm going to get the tac view fixed. Where are we in the time? 9:50. All right. So we're going to hit play.
I think there's a difference as well between, you know, the rounds where you see individuals flying well and carrying their team, and then the rounds where you see the team come together and comprehensively shut down the other team through really nice teamwork.
Right.
You know, really good, you know, element support tactics. And those types of rounds, they're the ones that excite me the most. Yeah, sure, it's fine to have the Black Arrow situation. Yeah, we get it. It's cool. It's great. It's exciting. But for me, what SATAL is really about is when you see a team of 4 guys come together and just say no and just dominate. Like, you know, we've seen some teams like 343 KU come to mind last week. They definitely come to my mind as a team that does that very well.
Random thought, guys. So we need to talk about the patch that came out. We're not going to talk about the data link and the HMS for the Hornet. We're going to talk about a bigger issue that I don't know that people are aware of. And I hope people don't go into multiplayer and try and take advantage of this, but I hope this issue is fixed here relatively soon. The newest bug that has happened lately, and I think it's a result of the Phoenix getting updated, is that the Phoenix will not give a missile warning unless it is launched under pitbull range. You will get no warning. And on top of that, the missile can turn in close range like an AIM-9X. So you have a Fox 3 missile that can fly at Mach 4 behaving like an IR missile that you can't flare. So I just want to make sure that people are aware of that current situation. It's not great. Hopefully Heat Blur is trying to fix it. I don't know when that's going to happen, supposedly in a week or two, but hopefully there's a hot fix that comes out soon.
Yeah, the AIM-54X just released to market.
Anything at over 5 miles? Dude, if you get launched at from 10 miles or 5 miles, you're not out-energizing any missile at over 15,000 feet. It's not going to happen. Maybe against a 120B, but not a 120C. You may be able to vertical notch it, but it's going to catch you. You can't turn around and outrun it unless you're at like Mach 1.7. I mean, obviously, if you're that fast, great. You're going to be able to out-energy it, but the average energy stance of when you're coming in and ingressing on missiles is more of like Mach 1 or Mach 1.1 or 1.2. So I don't know that I agree with that. It looks like these guys are starting to take off, led by Papa Sobear, and then the remaining 3 guys are still on the airfield. So guess we're seeing the same approach coming here low below. I think they're going to try the same thing, even though I don't know what the overall idea behind this approach is. If anything, what I saw it contribute to last round low below was missiles being wasted on Papa Sobear before the main contingency of his force got to the area.
Yeah, well, I don't think ETF certainly didn't collapse in on him, and if that was what it was designed to do, they didn't take the bait on that one. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's just to draw some early shots. You know, maybe GTAG are just happy with the way Papa Salbear defends, and they're like, okay, you can manage yourself well. Go forth, my child. You know, maybe it's that.
Go forth, my child. Be one with the force. Ninja your way out of all the things. Yeah, maybe that's what they're trying to do, but I think it's more of maybe they're trying to feint their opposition into thinking there is an opportunity and trying to create a dragon bag situation that they can capitalize on with Papa Sober dragging somebody. So I think it's either that or munitions wastage from the Eclipse Task Force side. That's all I can think of at this point. But what do you
Which
think?
timestamp are you at, by the way, right now?
I'll call you in at 14:10.
Okay.
Ready, go. Okay, so what I was going to ask you is, what do you think Eclipse Task Force needs to do? Because we talked about it briefly at the end of the last round that I think German Tactical Air Group is in the driver's seat for winning round 2 here. I think they've got the momentum. They've got the morale boost that comes with it for winning the latest round. And Eclipse Task Force, I think, is on the back foot here because they know that if they lose one more, they're done, and they lost one already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you heard me name drop 343 KU there, and that's because I think they need to take a page out of the 343 book and identify a situation where they can shut down one of GTAG's elements quickly. And if they're able to do that and they end up in a 4v2, all the power to them. But if they don't capitalize on a possible shutdown opportunity, then I think they're going to find themselves in a little bit of trouble. On the flip side, what I would like to see from JTAG is that Gozer, no, it should be Night Raid and Ali who seem to be working together as the lag element there. I would actually like to see them push up. Sorry, my headset's dying here. I'm going to have to change my battery here. But I would like to see them push up and apply pressure, with Sauber and Gozer there, and CG Tag work together as two elements to bring this to an early close. That would be brilliant to see. Right.
So I think Eclipse Task Force needs to try and capitalize on their opportunities as they present themselves that I think they missed in round 2. They missed those opportunities as they presented themselves in round 2. And I think Eclipse Task Force needs to bring more of their forces to bear quicker to provide mutual support and to try and overwhelm their opposition instead of just having the two ships that we saw out of them in round 2. So a couple things that both teams can work on, and I think if either one of those teams is able to make right out of either one of those, they're going to be the ones that are going to come home with more guys alive and be able to put their wheels down at their takeoff airfield and win the round.
Right. Now, if I was in ETF shoes, I would have learned from the I think what I would have done is try to learn from the second round there and present a wall to Sauber there. We already see coming into this fight, even though we're 94 miles out, they've got a trail element and a lead element separated by about 12 miles up here in the north. I think they would have better chances if July and Arthas were totally pushed up with Zodiac and who's the other one? Barracuda. Yep. And come in as a wall there and then bracket around and really present G-Tag with some early BVR problems. I think just having July and Arthas sitting back, G-Tag, my impression is G-Tag are perfectly happy with that situation. There's nothing really overwhelming them, presenting them with too many problems. They're happy to sit out and wait for the fight to develop and wait for ETF to get impatient. Potentially, we definitely saw ETF get a little bit impatient in the last round there and press into Gozer and Sauber. And that's what I think, we need to acknowledge here is that the individual capability of these G-Tag parts is quite high. So, if ETF decide to face off with these guys toe-to-toe, there's quite a high chance they're just going to get smacked down. Whereas I think what they need to do is actually work as a team and present G-Tag with some overwhelming BVR problems. And right now, the way that ETF are coming into this fight, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't really see that happening either. ETF needs to do something to try and throw a wedge or a wrench into G-Tag's game plan, and the separation or the non-committal into advantages I don't think is the way to do that. And if they take this stance that we're currently seeing with the separation of two elements, like I think you alluded to, Barracuda and Zodiac, I don't think they're going to win anything because German Tactical Air Group, I think, is better at this point at finding and committing onto the opportunities as they present themselves. Now, what I am anxious to see is if there is any type of game plan with Papa Sober leading the way for his team. Now, Something else to point out is that Papa Sober isn't quite as far ahead as he was in previous rounds. He's about 5 miles less ahead of the other 3 ship from German Tactical Air Group as he's been in round 1 and round 2. So is that going to be any type of factor here? I don't know. But what I'm more anxious to see, like I said earlier, is there a plan or a reason why Papa Sober is so far ahead of the rest of his team? Is it as simple as allowing the other team to waste weapons? Is he trying to create a dragon bag situation? What is the reasoning behind him being by himself?
Well, if we look at the way that this is unfolding now, Zodiac and Barracuda are definitely eyeing off Sauber, and we see Ari breaking off feet dry there by himself. Potentially how I see this situation unfolding is Ari getting the attention of July and Arthas in the back there and pulling them away from supporting Zodiac and Barracuda. And if that happens, what we could quickly see unfold is that Gozer and Night Raid end up pushing up to help Sauber and forming a 3v2 situation, feet wet, while Ari occupies July and Arthas feet dry over the mountains there. And if that ends up happening, then we could see Barracuda and Zodiac in quite a bit of trouble.
Right. Current separation between Papa Sober and Zodiac and Barracuda is about 35 miles. And unlike previous rounds, we actually see Sober launching the first missile, and it's a 120 out onto, I'm going to assume Zodiac, because Zodiac immediately split S's. So maybe he was zoomed in on Sober, saw the missile launch, and he's getting the hell out of Dodge. But that is a missile coming from Sober from around 35 to 40,000 feet. So that's got a bit of potential if Zodiac or Barracuda were to stay hot. But as they've turned cold, that missile's not going to do anything. Now, what I would like to see is for Papa Sober to stay hot and not turn away. Use that aggression. No reason to turn around. These guys, you got to recognize they've turned away. You don't need to turn around in this situation. Maybe he's turning around because he's defending against an incoming threat. But in a 4v4 situation, which I think I've seen several times alluded to from Borchi and chat, in my opinion, you need to be aggressive. You don't have the pilots and you don't have the weapons in a 4v4 situation to really play this patient game. And if you try to play the patient game and you use too many weapons early, at the end, you end up being the team without any weapons, and you can't capitalize on those opportunities as they present themselves later in the round.
What I will say categorically is I don't like how passive Night Raid is being. I've seen this now in him from him in the first 2 rounds. I'm seeing it again in the 3rd round. If the game plan is to set up a grinder, get pushed up as a 2-ship and then set up your grinder. But the fact that he's at the moment 20 miles behind his element partner, going into this fight, he's in no position to help anybody.
Right.
Like get pushed up there with Ari as a 2-ship and then go, okay, now let's set up the grinder. And he turns cold. Ari, goes down range and sends one, and then boom, they're in their 10-mile grinder, but they got there together. But this thing of him being 20 miles behind and passive like this, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it if that's what he continues to do. If he doesn't stay passive and he continues in here, it could just be that he's separated. And I do like if he's separated by this point because he's giving Ari a great picture over the PPLI Link 16 interface, and he's just giving Ari everything that he needs. So I'm not too worried about his current positioning. I will be worried if he turns cold in his current state. If he continues hot, not a big deal. I do like this big distance between him and his lead counterpart because it provides a better picture, in my opinion.
Right. You think that's what it is? Yeah, Zelamix.
I think so.
Zelamix, you were Night Raid. Is that you? I think he's saying that he wasn't there for the first round.
I think so. Right? Yeah, Night Raid was not here for the first round. Papa Sober and Gozer, I think, are doing the same thing, and this may be what German Tactical Air Group was trying to do in previous rounds, and it's this grinder position, even though Gozer's now recommitting with Sober and maybe being more aggressive. But Night Raid looks like he's getting the aggression on, like we wanted to see out of him in previous rounds. I want to make sure that he tries to support this missile instead of immediately turning around. But he is decently fast.
Yeah.
He fired that from like 37,000 feet. So I do like his positioning, and I do like the aggressiveness that we're seeing out of him and his counterpart now in stark contrast to what we saw in round one and
Yep.
2.
Yeah, this is definitely better from Night Raid and Ari now that they're pushed up in line with Salbear and Goza, and let's see what they make of it. Is the point? Are they going to collapse in on Zodiac and Barracuda as a 4-ship or 2 elements and shut them down? I'm pretty keen to see how this is going to unfold.
Papa Sobear is now defending an incoming 120. Don't think it's a threat as he is over Mach 1 defending away, and that missile is going to be well and truly out of energy by the time it reaches it's anywhere close to its intended target. And we see this separation on German Tactical Air Group. If we flip over to the map, from German Tactical Air Group, though in this round, in round 3, in contrast to round 2, Night Raid and Arai are much more aggressive, and they're more of in a line horizontally instead of vertically, depth-wise, with their counterparts of Papa Sober and Gozer, which I like. So they're in more of a wall formation, where Eclipse Task Force is, on the contrast, more in a ball. So if Eclipse Task Force gets surrounded, they're going to be well and truly in a load of trouble. Whereas German Tactical Air Group is in more of a position to provide mutual support, because I don't think they're too heavily distant, no, about 10 miles from one another. So I really like the positioning from German Tactical Air Group. They're close enough that they can provide help to one another, but they're far enough away that they're not right on top of one another either.
Well, I mean, I've seen on, documentary channel many times that the ball doesn't tend to work out too well for Tuna, and I don't think it's going to work out too well here either.
Well, the ball doesn't tend to work out too well if you're not able to capitalize on the situations as they present themselves. If you're, a fish with a bunch of teeth, the predator may not want to stick his hand in there very much because he's going to get bit. And if Eclipse Task Force is able to capitalize on those opportunities as they may present themselves, well, it may work out for them, but they've got to really work on capitalizing on those things as they present themselves, because any opportunity that is missed could spell the end for them and result in a loss.
Yeah. Now, interesting, would be to see whether Barracuda and Zodiac maintain their element discipline here now that they're, up there with July and Arthas. We see Zodiac punching bags. Looks like he's maybe trying to set up the beginnings of a grinder with Barracuda here. That Night Raid and Ari to the south there are definitely established in their grinder. So to me, it looks like defensive cap from them down in the south. They're not going to push anyone, but they will, they'll just take their shots as and when they present themselves. Right now, I think we're in a pretty stable fight. No one's pressing anyone really hard.
No, nobody's not, and we're seeing a much more really similar tactics from both sides. We get a 2-ship grinder on the left and right for Eclipse Task Force and a 2-ship grinder on the left and right for German Tactical Air Group. I'm worried a little bit that German Tactical Air Group may be getting a bit separated. There's 20 miles between them, between their two ships. Eclipse Task Force is a bit closer. Eclipse Task Force is in the position that I liked out of German Tactical Air Group earlier. So I'm a little worried about the positioning that I'm seeing from German Tactical Air Group. And if they continue to separate, it may result in their inability to support one another, which I don't know that I really like. Well, I know that I really don't like it. Oh, but July gets taken out. Sorry, July got taken out, just flew headlong into a 120. We're going to have to look at that one. I didn't think that he was going to have any problems. I didn't even think that thing was tracking him. So, unfortunately now, Eclipse Task Force is on the back foot. They're down to 3 pilots while German Tactical Air Group has 4. And Arthas now may be putting himself out there as he ingresses here against Papa Sober. And Papa Sober in this round looks like he's the one-man wrecking crew. So, missile being launched from him, we can see it coming. 4 miles now, and Arthas isn't slow enough to be able to notch this, and it's close enough that he's not going to be able to out-energy it. He's at JF-17. If this makes it over the hill, he's going to be in trouble. Is it going to be able to stay with them? No, that got line of sighted, so not a big problem. Now we see Gozer being the one that is coming and ingressing onto Arthas. So Arthas having to expend energy defending. Gozer put a 120 out from a long range onto him. Let's grab Gozer's point of view now. Oh, sorry. That's not what I meant to do. We're going to stay with Arthas now in this situation because he's got a 120 coming in on him over the hill, and he's recommitting into it. So is he going to be a reincarnation of what happened to July here? Closer 120 now being launched from Gozer, and that's going to be the one that's going to reach out and kill him, and it takes him down. So Arthas having to defend the early missile, thought it was out of energy, and Gozer puts a late one in on him, and that's the one that ends up taking him down and getting the kill. So well done by the Southern 2-ship of Gozer and Papa Sober to be able to get both of those kills.
Yeah. Now, we had that moment there just preceding when July got taken out, where Barracuda was committing across on the other element as well. And, so rather than Barracuda and Zodiac and Night Red and Ari fighting their own fight there, we had quite a bit of passiveness, I'd say, from the Feet Dry team. And Night Raid and Ari could have possibly pushed up and shut down
I got to cut you out
Barracuda.
here because Zodiac is about to get gangbanged here in just a second.
Yeah.
He's getting attacked from 3 different directions, and the missile we got to really worry about is the one that's going to hit him in the face. And there it is, coming at half mile. He gets a shot off late at a 2 mile away Papa Sober, but I actually think that missile detonated and didn't come off the rail fast enough, and he gets taken down. So Barracuda quickly is the only one remaining, and he is quickly being pursued by Papa Sober.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's just going to... It's
All
not
of
looking
these
good
guys,
for Barracuda.
all of these guys finding themselves heavily outnumbered. Barracuda now is 4v1, much like July was in last round, and he's going to eat this 120. There's no... Oh, he got away from it, so he was able to notch that quite effectively, but he's got Papa Sober, who is just on a mission to take everyone out all over his 6, and he's going to be coming around the corner here in just a second. So Barracuda is now dragging the entire team of German Tactical Air Group, and he is the last hope remaining for Eclipse Task Force, but I don't think he's going to be able to make anything happen because he's got missiles coming in from both sides, one in trail, one in front, and it's going to be the one behind that ends up taking him down. He's going to get smashed by the one in front too, and that is it for Eclipse Task Force. So they came out and put out a pretty good showing here for round 1, but then German Tactical Air Group, as you said, Low Blow, says no, and they just put the smash down, not losing anyone in rounds 2 or 3.
Yeah. But, on the other side of the fence, G-Tag, we can see improvements. Ari and Night Raid, I feel that they need to lift more weight in these fights. And it's as simple as that. I don't really know how to put it any way different.
Maybe.
They are setting up a nice grinder there, and they are, definitely keeping Barracuda. They were keeping Barracuda and Zodiac in their minds, but by the same token, they weren't really pressuring Barracuda or Zodiac, which meant that Barracuda was able to actually cross over the line and send one down range at the feet wet element. If you want to call them that.
Yeah, that may be true, but you don't get these killing opportunities unless you let the opposition press into something that you're trying to control. So you want to create these bag and drag opportunities or situations where your missiles can actually reach out and touch somebody, where if you're just constantly keeping people at arm's distance or further than that, you're not going to get any kill opportunities. So you have to let the opposition get in close while at the same time not dying yourself. So you've got to balance letting the guys get in close while flying defensively and trying to keep people far enough away that they're not able just to run you over. I will say, though, that Orion Night Raid did do a better job here in round 3 than they did here in round 2.
Yeah, definitely. But I think they need to when they enter these grinders. I would like to see them push up as a 2-ship, And when I say that, as a 2-ship, not with one guy 20 miles behind, because I think if shit starts developing quickly, the guy who's 20 miles behind, I understand what you're saying about him providing a good PPLI picture, but he's not really in an immediate position to support his element partner there either.
No, he's not. But if you commit as a 2-ship, then you have to do a 2-ship grinder or 4-ship grinder where you've got one element going hot and the other element going cold, and they're turning around. You got to do it that way if you do it that way. But then you're not separating the fight or horizontally. You're fighting it much more one-dimensionally. So it's a give and take situation. You've got to weigh what you want to do and what you don't want to do in a certain fight, what you want your opponent to do and what you don't want them to do in these fights. So I think that it worked for them here in this round and in the previous round, though it was better executed here in round 3 than it was in round 2 from Orion Night Raid. But it seems to be working from them, but I do hear what you're saying. I think if you do commit as a 2-ship, it allows you to be more aggressive than you would be if you're committing as a 1-ship. But a way around that, though, Low Blow, would be to have a little bit more separate, maybe like 7 miles or 8 miles in lateral separation between, more of a spread formation between you and your partner, and then having the trail element being a partner, but having a little bit more separation instead of being closer together. That's something that you can
there's
do.
this many different ways to skin a cat. I guess all I'm saying is that GTAG are a strong team. You know, they've got very capable pilots individually. I just hope that they don't rely on that too much going forward in the comp, and that, you know, we do start to see a bit more aggression from them early on, or at least presenting themselves in a way to the opponents, so that they have the maximum number of tools up their sleeve to deal with what they're presented with. And all I'm saying is that when one of your guys is 20 miles behind, you don't have as many tools immediately at your disposal.
Sure.
Is I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I totally understand what you mean. I think both teams need to work a little bit better on operating as a team, because there's no I in team, and the teams that work well together and able to communicate well together are the teams that we're really going to see go deep into the competition here, especially during the postseason. So I think if German Tactical Air Group can focus on that a bit more, and they're able to get that together, the pilots definitely have the skill to be able to take them deep. But if they can work together and make those pilot skills into team skills, they're really going to be a force to be reckoned with coming in here in the postseason and late season this year. So I'm really looking forward to that. And for them for the guys, sorry for the little bit of lag coming here, guys. For the Eclipse Task Force side, I think their downfall here in this round was simply that. Sorry, just trying to let me see what's going on here. Was just that they were committing.
Sorry.
They were committing into fights that they didn't really have any type of advantage on. They came into things one at a time. They found themselves, as you alluded to several times, in that Discovery Channel ball situation where the Predators were able to herd them and corral them in whatever way they saw fit.
Yeah. Yeah, but it has to be said, you know, ETF, good showing today. Well, good showing from both teams, but ETF, well done in the way that you were able to smack GTAG in the face in the first round. You know, that's not an easy, that's not a small feat. You know, so really good that you were able to come in. You know, we were talking about at the start of the round in terms of, you know, Moltar asked me, do you think these guys are going to be intimidated? You definitely didn't look like you came into today's fight intimidated. So well done on that front. You know, I think in the end, GTAG just showing a little bit of extra patience. You know, but again, moving forward, GTAG, I'd really like to see you step it up and get aggressive. You know, maybe the patience thing works for you. I don't know, but I think you can, you know, you have the opportunity to shut some of these fights down quicker.
Right. Well, Gozers put it down here at Quadrata, so we are going to move on to the TACV debrief, and it's going to be a quick one. So, Low Blow, I got to say, we got to do it quick because I got to take my son to his school pictures. We got to rocket through this one, though. I don't think there was a ton to go over in this thing.
No, I think we've already done it pretty much.
Okay, so we'll skip that one. We'll skip that TACV because I don't think there was a ton to talk about. There wasn't a lot that happened, and everything happened so quickly. I don't really think it's necessarily worth going over for that one. But guys, awesome time. No stream on Saturday because I have to go move rocks for my new house for the landscaping with my uncle, who's going to bring over a skid steer, and we're going to move some stuff so that I don't have to pay for it. But Low Blow, is there anything going on in the BVM scene this weekend?
No, we were supposed to have Pilot X, but I think it's been a busy week for everyone with the US elections, and you know, it's that time of year when people are they've got a lot on.
Sure.
So I think we're going to push that back a few weeks. On the other note, I BFM'd against Tim Davies from Fastjet Performance today on my Twitch. Tim, a former Tornado GR4 pilot in the RAF. He was a great sport, came on, and we had some really fun fights. So go check that out at Lowblow TTV on Twitch. And yep, we're just moving forward. We'll be doing another Sunday BFM comp soon. So no, BFM side of things running nicely.
All right, sounds good. So again, guys, no stream on Saturday. We will be back on Tuesday. I don't know who's streaming. I don't have time to check right now. But we will be back on Tuesday. Hopefully over the weekend we can make some progress on the new website. I got to get things moved over. And we'll be making progress there, hopefully with a streaming schedule, so it's easier for you guys to keep track of what's going on. Yeah, no TAC to you debrief because I got to bounce. I got stuff I got to take care of, real-life family stuff. But that's going to be it, guys. I will see you Tuesday I think we're moving now. I think 1600 Zulu's been working pretty well because it gives Loblo some time to do some BFM stuff. So we're going to see you guys 1600 Zulu because daylight saving time happened here, so it's still the same time for me. But 1600 Zulu on Tuesday. Stay safe in those virtual skies, and we will see you guys coming up. See you guys next time. Have a good one.
See ya.
From dust.